We have with us Mr. Dipanshu Sharma from XAD today. Welcome, Dipanshu.
Thank you.
So, how is location empowering businesses?
Yeah, location is an everyday use case now, and I go with consumer applications. So XAD last year acquired a company called WeatherBug. It's the number 2 weather application in the United States. If you think about weather is very local. Weather in Hyderabad is different than Delhi. Weather has safety implications, like if there's a storm coming, if there's a hurricane coming. So, if you turn location off on your phone, it cannot tell you if there's a safety issue, right? So we acquired WeatherBug for that reason. But if I look at my daily use case, I get Uber every time I land at the airport. It has to have location turned on. If you want to book a restaurant, if you want to buy something, location is integral part of it of our lives, just like electricity and water was back in the day, and then internet became integral part. Now location is the next integral part of lives.
So, where is this trend heading, and basically, where do you see the business coming from? Which are the sectors, which are the business?
Yeah, there's 3 broad areas I would categorize. One is just the advertising sector, which is what we do. Advertising is a $600 billion industry. Before Google, advertising was mostly TV and print advertising, billboards, and now everybody is adding location to their use case. So if you think about billboards, if you are walking next to a billboard, you can actually see, somebody walked next to a billboard, and let me retarget that ad on their phone. We do a lot with automobiles, for example. If you are buying a car and you take your phone into a BMW dealership, well, why shouldn't we give you offers from Audi or Mercedes and make your life better? So really using location as a use case for improving your offers and advertising. That's one big use case. The second big use case is automation. So I always say, like, why do we have to tell the computer what to do? The actual computer knows a lot about what we do all the time, so why don't we just let it do a few things where we're doing nonstop? So my example I give is I live in downtown Manhattan, and my office is One World Trade Center, and it's an 8-minute walk. And there's a Starbucks in the middle where I get a coffee every morning. And my phone knows that, XAD knows that, Starbucks probably knows that, but we haven't connected the dots. All we have to do is, when I leave my apartment, it should say same thing. I don't touch anything, and I just walk to Starbucks, grab my coffee. So I think automation is going to be a big part of what location is going to be. And third, I think we talk a lot about self-driving cars, augmented reality, virtual reality. I think the location will be a use case for really changing our lives and making them better, and give us the lost time into doing other things, right? So, and I have this concept of lost time because if you go back 10 years or 20 years ago, we used to do all these mundane things that we don't think about anymore, like mobile phones change everything. And so location needs to make it even better, right? And just take the mundane things out of our lives and give us time to do more quality things.
So, don't you think it also raises, apart from all the good things that you talk about, raises the very fundamental issue about people's privacy, which brings us to data privacy?
Yeah.
So, how do we deal with that?
Yeah, and I think there's a very important question, and I think privacy needs to be taken very carefully. So what most companies are doing, so let me take the example of big data platforms. So Apple and Google are the big mobile platforms, and they hold responsibility of privacy as much as we do in the world we live in. So in last few years, there's been a standardization of how we think about privacy, Google, Apple, XAD, and all the other companies, where they ask consumers permission to give the data to the platform. And permissions are 2 stages. One is you can download the app and say, okay, it's going to use location, but it will only use location when the app is on, when you're using the app, right? The other one is it'll use location all the time, even though when the app is not on. So if the second use case is happening where they use location all the time, the OS will ask you, hey, is that okay because the app is using location in the background? So really what's happening is a partnership between consumers, the use case of value the app is bringing, and the OS platforms are saying, let's make sure we're all aligned, right? So an example on Uber would be, Uber recently changed their location privacy setting to always collect the data. And their logic was, well, we want to know 5 minutes before you order the car and 5 minutes after you order the car, what you're doing. Now, huge backlash. If you look at the ratings of the app, dropped dramatically because people were uncomfortable saying, why do you need to track me 5 minutes before and after? I mean, I'm paying you for the service. But despite the backlash, they didn't stop using it, and then the backlash went away. I think it's just like human nature because we feel uncomfortable being tracked, right? But if the use case for Uber was, well, I will exactly know where you are because your phone is telling me you're approaching the Uber location before you get there. And if you're still sitting at your apartment, you haven't even gone to the car, at least I know that. And I can tell the driver, hey, he hasn't actually moved here right now. So we're just trying to make things better, right?
Where do you see this trend heading in the, say, next 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, I think we're going to move from location to applications. I think location will be just like maps used to be, right? I mean, it's just normal, it's there, it's integrated in everything. Just like social is now, we don't think about social anymore, it's like integrated in life. So location will be integrated. Its applications will become better and better. So early in the panel, there was a conversation around indoor location and altitude. So, that is very inaccurate today. So if you think about, we're in the ground floor right now, right? We're on the ground floor. If I go to the third floor, I can't tell if I'm on third floor or ground floor. The altitude information is not good. Indoor, because GPS satellites cannot capture the accuracy, that drops. So there's a lot of effort into improving accuracy indoor and both inside and altitude, because the world is actually growing vertically, not just horizontally, and we just need to solve that use case. The value of the use case is actually tremendous, because if we exactly know if you were sitting at a dentist location or if you're at McDonald's in a mall, we can actually just serve you better. We can automate your life better, rather than saying you went to a mall which has 5,000 businesses. We can say, oh, you were exactly eating fast food, or you're trying to get a movie, and so on and so forth. So I think there's a long ways to go. The other thing that's happened is, there used to be 6 satellites, the GPS satellites, and then there was 22 new satellites launched last few years, which is GLONASS, which is Russians launched 22 satellites. There are 108 more satellites now being launched. So everybody's putting a lot of effort into improving accuracy and making it more pervasive. And we'll see self-driving cars get better. So I have a Tesla Model S, which has self-driving capabilities, but if the location is not accurate, I can be in a different lane and have a car accident, right? So it's like there's such a use case, right, where we want drivers to be not driving, but doing emails or watching a movie or just having fun, like to take the work out of the equation. Which for that we need a lot more accuracy. So I think there'll be a lot of focus on infrastructure and then applications that come from that infrastructure.
That would be all. Thank you.
Thank you as well.